So I'm just a stupid dog, and this is the fourth chapter. This is the fourth chapter. We're going to keep it succinct because we didn't really know what was going on. Uncle Dinner was complaining about some pancreatic troubles. He drinks so much bourbon. He drinks Genesee cream ale. He can't even catch a buzz anymore. He's been drinking Genesee cream ale and horking down so much mass quantities of Genesee cream ale. He's built up a tolerance to it, okay? So anyways, when he starts drinking good quality bourbon, and I'm a stupid dog, but the man said he brought out the good bourbon for Uncle Dinner, you know what I'm saying? At one point, Thundertop, we were never introduced to Thundertop in the fourth chapter, but we saw him pop his head up. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to bite that squirrel's effing head off immediately because I'm a squirrel killing dog. You understand what I'm saying? Your narrator is a squirrel killing dog, and it's really kind of strange that we would go to a situation where the antagonist, the protagonist, I don't even know what it is a squirrel. God forbid, you know what I'm saying? I want to bite a regular old squirrel's head off. This guy, as soon as I looked into his eyes, as soon as I seen him, he popped his head up. He looked straight into my eyes. Our eyes met across the room. I said, you are a dead mother effer. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to rip your head off. I'm going to shake you. I'm going to give you a dog shake that breaks every single synapse from your cerebral cortex down to the bottom of your spine at your coccyx. Don't worry about it. You ain't going to be alive to even feel when they bury you. You're going to be long dead by the time they put you under the dirt, you scurvy, skanky squirrel. That's just my attitude because I'm a stupid squirrel. But anyway, I'm an idiotic stupid dog. He's a stupid squirrel. Maybe it's like I have something, whatever. It doesn't even matter. I have some kind of a feeling for, and I have a little bit of a, I don't even know what you call it when you have not antipathy, but it's like it's not an emulsification. It's like you feel like you can understand that person's point of view. That's what I'm trying to say. So, with that stupid squirrel, maybe even instantaneously where I wanted to kill him and rent him and tear him up, I still thought about, whatever. I think I can understand what that's going through the squirrel's mind. He was worried because I think Uncle Dinner was going into a semi-stroke. He was going to a pre-stroke or maybe a pre-heart attack. So anyways, the squirrel, Thundertop, he popped his head up out of the man's denim coat. He looked around. He zipped back down like, if this guy dies, I'll race out when they bury him. For right now, I have a couple walnuts and I got some poop shoved over to the side of this pocket. My nest is part poop, part straw, part tobacco, part, uneaten walnuts. So whatever, it's okay. Anyways, the man, he says, I have some chest pains. I have some pain shooting down my right arm. I didn't even know if it was the right arm or the left arm that signifies you're having a heart attack. I'm a stupid dog. The man was even less certain, although he was, a certified veterinarian assistant. He should have probably been able to tell better. Anyways, we took Uncle Dinner to a prominent doctor in the Paducah area of Western Kentucky, one of the posh elitist neighborhoods where only the rich people who raised polo ponies, they raised Peloponnese. They raised Peloponnese, they raised quarter horses, they raised long run thoroughbreds. Anyways, this doctor, this is the whole point of this take. This is the fourth chapter, and it's an adherence from the regular main theme. The main theme is just that, Uncle Dinner and his pet squirrel Thundertop came to visit, but we keep, chapter 2 was we went to a brothel, and it was a very disappointing scenario. Anyways, we went to a doctor in this one because Uncle Dinner was complaining of chest pains. He thought maybe he had a stroke. He couldn't remember any of his favorite football players, any of his favorite basketball players. He couldn't remember anything, you know what I'm saying? We're like, hey, even though Joe Paterno was, he emasculated the program. he allowed, child pedophiles to inundate the program. He tried to hide child pedophiles. Joe Pa was still, the king in, because Uncle Dinner came from Western Pennsylvania, which was so close. He thought he liked Pittsburgh, but he didn't like Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh, maybe the Steelers, he was a Pittsburgh, but collegiately, he was a Penn State man. And it was really hard on him when Joe Pa turned out to be an enabler of child pedophiles, just like the Catholic Church. But Joe was a big-time Catholic, so you never know what's going on. But anyways, Joe was like, whatever. The man and the dog and even Uncle Dinner and Thunder Top, we all forgave Joe Pa, but Joe Pa enabled, a child pedophile, serial pedophile, homosexual freak, you know what I'm saying? So it was hard, but anyways, the whole point was that it was a situation that Uncle Dinner was used to playing some kind of crazy mind games that would enable you to do certain things that you didn't want to do, but then you thought you would do them, but then you thought you shouldn't have done them, and everything was really freaky deaky, but he couldn't remember Joe Pa's name. We're like, you can't remember Joe Pa's name, Uncle Dinner? You might be having a stroke. If you cannot remember Joe Pa's name, Joe Paterno, you cannot remember the pedophilic enabler. You can't remember the guy who won so many games, like 700 games. They named there was like the Joe Paterno Alonzo Stagg Big Ten Championship, whatever, trophy. You can't remember who that was? He was a conservative Republican wannabe who could, whatever you say, with a wave of his wand, get a with a wave of his wand, he could let a drunk driver get off. He could let one of his famous running backs get off. He could get a DB get off, and he could let his own lily white scumbag, scurvy fucking skank, pedophilic, predator get off and go hide, and still go on. What kind of pedophiles? Only the pedophiles do not need to apply, but the pedophile who got in to whatever situation, but in Penn State's case, it was like, you can still be a pedophile, just try not to get caught because we're just going to enable you. But the fact that Uncle Dinner couldn't remember Joe Pa's name was a sign he was having a stroke, so we took him to Doctor, and I forget this doctor's name because this doctor had this set of steel tools, just like the man had a very tiny instrumentation set of tools to operate on rabbits or squirrel brains. This guy, he had a stainless steel set of, not embalming, but what do you call it when you give somebody, you stir up their frontal lobe and so they scatter their brain noise so they can't really think that good anymore. It got started with the Kennedys. The Kennedys did Kathleen Kennedy or Caitlin Kennedy. They gave her a lobotomy. This was the lobotomitic doctor. He had a stainless steel set of tools. And the minute we walked in, he looked at the man. He's like, you need a lobotomy. And the man's like, I'm not even here to get some treatment. The Uncle Dinner's the one who we're bringing here to get some treatment. He goes, oh, shit. But you, my friend, look like you're a candidate for a lobotomy. I think you should get a lobotomy. And then they said, the doctor lobotomy, he didn't even, diagnose anything. He says, Uncle Dinner needs a lobotomy. He's like, oh my God, Uncle Dinner needs a lobotomy? There's another guy who's there. He was holding on to his knees. Like, I got chronic knee pain. It goes, Dr. Lobotomy said, you need a lobotomy. He looked down the row. He said, what is your problem? She said, my puppy ran away and I'm depressed. He says, you need a lobotomy. He goes to the next one. What's your problem? He said, my lollipop fell on the ground and it was filled with dog hairs and I couldn't suck on my lollipop anymore. He says, you need a lobotomy. Oh my God. I was like, whatever. I think there was a famous basketball player who was sitting there. He says, I turned my ankle. He says, you need a lobotomy. Dr. Lobotomy's whole thing was to give him a lobotomy. A lobotomy? What? You have to just only get a lobotomy? He's like, you want some weight loss? You want to drop 80 pounds? You want to drop 35 pounds? You want to drop 55 pounds? Lobotomy. He next to the next one. You're cheating on your wife. You want to stop cheating on your wife. You want to be a better family man? Lobotomy. He said to this woman, he said, you got, whatever. You want to stop worrying about, you got a stinky punani situation. You could bathe better. You could douche better. You could do all these things. You could perfume or just make it simple, get a lobotomy. Everything was a lobotomy. He's like, you trying to, you want to become a vegetarian? Get a lobotomy. You don't want to become a vegetarian? You want to go back to eat meat? Get a lobotomy. You want to have a divorce? Lobotomy. You don't want to have a divorce? Lobotomy. You want to have an abortion? Lobotomy. You want to have not an abortion? You want to try to save the baby? Lobotomy. Everything this guy, it was always lobotomy, lobotomy, lobotomy. Scramble the brains, you're going to be happier. Just like Kathleen Kennedy. I was like, what? On chapter 4, you're like, we went to Dr. Lobotomy because we thought, Uncle Dinner was having a stroke. Finally, we just took Uncle Dinner back. We put him in bed. It's like, God, you need bed rest. We gave you bed rest for like 5 or 6 months. Maybe you'll wake up, you'll be better. We're going to give you some, not fentanyl. We're going to give you some opium, not fentanyl. We don't want opioids. We want the old opioids. They smoke through a pipe. We want to get you like the Chinese opioids. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, we're like, no, Uncle Dinner, this is bad. Dr. Lobotomy. I don't think it's not lobotomy. It's a catch-all. It's a catch-all diagnosis. Everything was lobotomy. It could be anything. You're afraid to fly on planes? Lobotomy. You're afraid that Donald Trump is going to lead America into a fascist dictatorship? Lobotomy. You think that, women with big giant boobs are trying to rule the world and they keep getting bigger and bigger, taller and higher, sustainable memories? Lobotomy. Everything was a lobotomy. Everything. You're afraid to get a lobotomy? Lobotomy. You want to have a lobotomy? Lobotomy. This doctor, every diagnosis he came up with ended with lobotomy. Get a lobotomy. Whatever. Dr. Lobotomy. Dr. Lobotomy was the focal point of the 4th chapter of Uncle Dinner and Thundercat. But plus, Thundercat peered out. Thundertop peered out. He peered out. He said, hey, what's going on? Because Uncle Dinner was having a stroke or heart attack. He ducked back in. He's like, I think he's going to survive. That's why we were like, you know what? If Thundertop really thought that Uncle Dinner was going to die, he would have come all the way out. He came out, he showed his head. So probably, Uncle Dinner has at least 2 more weeks of good health, or could survive it for a minimum of 2 more weeks. So whatever, it's all right. Doesn't matter.